You wake up in darkness, 300 feet below the surface. Stone walls press in from every direction. The air smells like wet limestone and something older than memory. Above you, a village goes about its morning. Below you, chambers carved by hands that never wrote a single word about what they built. The Hypogam in Malta, Derinkuyu in Turkey, Longyu in China. We think we know our ancestors. We think archaeology has it figured out. But 12 underground complexes scattered across the planet tell a different story. Complexes that shouldn't exist according to the tools available, according to the labor estimates, according to everything we thought we understood about ancient engineering. Some housed 20,000 people. Some contain acoustic chambers that manipulate brain frequencies. Some show precision that makes modern engineers pause and recalculate. And not one of them, not a single one, appears in the historical record of its time. Field studies from March 2024 and peer-reviewed archaeoacoustic research from the Journal of the Acoustic Society of America, published 1995, alongside recent discoveries documented in Nature and Antiquity through January 2025. Now back to the information. A man in Derinkuyu takes a sledgehammer to his basement wall during home renovations. The wall comes down. Behind it, a room, not a cellar. A chamber carved from volcanic tuff, edges sharp, ceiling curved. He keeps digging. One room becomes two becomes five. 5 becomes an entrance to a city that extends 280 feet straight down through solid rock. 8 levels, 30,000 square meters. Capacity for 20,000 people and their livestock. Greeks occupied it until 1923 when the population exchange forced them out. But here's the problem. The first written mention of underground cities in Cappadocia comes from Xenophon in 370 before Common Era. He writes about houses underground with mouths like wells, spacious below, with tunnels for animals and ladders for humans. That's it. Nothing about who dug them, nothing about how deep they went, nothing about the engineering required. Circular wheels of rock that rolled into doorways. Once closed, no battering ram could breach them. The upper level sits 1 meter below surface. Natural caves extended and shaped, burial chambers, storage rooms. The second level was carved entirely by hand. Rock hoisted to the surface using what archaeologists call cyclopean rigging. No mechanical advantage, just muscle and rope and leverage. The main chamber is circular, cut from solid rock. Barrel-vaulted ceiling unique to Derinkuyu. No other underground city in Cappadocia has this design. The complex can be closed level by level. If attackers breach the first door, seal the second. If they breach the second, seal the third. An 8-layer defense system with no historical parallel. Researchers estimate an 8-kilometer tunnel connects Derinkuyu to Keimakli, another underground city. The tunnel has never been fully explored. Local authorities closed it due to collapse risk. But ground-penetrating radar confirms the connection exists. That means 2 cities, each housing 20,000 people, linked by a hidden passage. Over 200 underground cities have been discovered in Cappadocia. 40 have at least 3 levels. None match Derinkuyu's scale or preservation. It was open to tourists in 1969. Only 8 of the estimated 13 to 18 levels are accessible. The deepest excavated point reaches 85 meters. Most remains buried. But the pottery is Chinese, traded along silk routes. It tells us when the level was used, not when it was carved. Archaeologists believe construction began in the 8th century before Common Era. That's 2,700 years ago. The complex was used continuously until 1923. 27 centuries of occupation. 0 contemporary records explaining its construction. June 1992. It's a flooded cavern entrance, 30 meters tall, carved from solid sandstone. The farmers drain the other 4 ponds. All caverns, all hand-carved, all connected by nothing but proximity. News spreads, archaeologists arrive. Further investigation reveals 19 more caverns nearby, 24 in total. The largest cavern measures over 1,000 square meters with ceilings 30 meters high. The smallest is still bigger than most ancient temples. Total excavated area exceeds 30,000 square meters. Every surface is covered in parallel bands 60 centimeters wide. The bands contain chisel marks at 60-degree angles to the band's axis. The pattern is identical in all 24 caves. Same band width, same chisel angle, same execution. The columns supporting each ceiling follow the same pattern, carved in bands, angled marks, precise repetition. No construction debris, no tool marks outside the caves. The rock vanished. The workers who removed it left no trace. No broken tools, no burial sites, no settlement ruins, just the caves themselves. But pottery on the floor doesn't date the carving. It dates the last time water carried sediment inside. The caves could be older. Some archaeologists point to a 1700 poem by Yu Xun mentioning stone chambers. That's the only written reference before 1992. Nothing in imperial records, nothing in local histories, nothing in the dynastic archives that documented everything from bridge construction to flood control. Yang Hongjun at the Archaeological Institute of Chinese Academy of Social Sciences ran the calculations. At the bottom of each cave, carvers couldn't see what others were doing in adjacent caves. but the walls between caves had to be precisely parallel or risk breakthrough. The layout required advanced surveying, predetermined measurements, exact distances calculated before a single stone was chipped. The margin for error was less than 5 centimeters across 30 meters of rock. They never missed, not once, across 24 independent excavations. The carvings don't match any known Chinese artistic tradition from the Han period. The fish face is left. Most Chinese fish carvings from that era face right. The horses have strange proportions. The birds lack detail. Doesn't explain the decorative effort. Doesn't explain why warehouses would need 60-centimeter bands carved across every surface. Doesn't explain the vanished rock. One estimate suggests 1,000 workers laboring day and night would need 6 years to complete this project. Where did they sleep? What did they eat? Who fed them? No settlement ruins exist within 20 kilometers. The Huashan Grottos sit 200 kilometers northwest on the Shannon River. Similar construction, similar scale. Lichenometric dating suggests they were built 1,500 years after Longyu, but pottery finds date them to the Jin dynasty, 265 to 439 after Common Era. The pottery contradicts the lichen dating. Both cave systems may be contemporary. Both may be part of a larger network. Both are mysteries wrapped in sandstone and silence. Corbeld's ceiling carved to mimic above-ground temple architecture. He tells no one. The houses are nearly complete. Reporting the discovery would halt construction, destroy property values, ruin investors. He stays quiet. 3 levels of interconnected chambers and passages, carved entirely from Globigerina limestone. The upper level sits 1 meter below surface. Natural caves extended and shaped, burial chambers with skeletons still in place. The middle level was carved from scratch. No natural caves, pure excavation. The oracle room measures over 5 meters long with niches cut into walls. The Holy of Holies mimics the design of Malta's above-ground megalithic temples. Trilithons carved from solid rock, false doorways. Decorative elements matching temples that still stand under sunlight. Zamet finds 7,000 skeletons, not piled, arranged, buried with purpose. Red ochre on bones, beads, amulets, pottery, shell buttons, stone carvings of animals, bird pendants, clay figurines. The most famous is the Sleeping Lady, now displayed at the National Museum of Archaeology in Valletta. A woman lying on a couch, full body, detailed carving, peaceful expression. Dating places, construction between 3,300 and 3,000 before Common Era. The Saflieni phase of Maltese prehistory, over 5,000 years ago. The site may have been used as early as 4,000 before Common Era. Carbon dating of bone samples and pottery analysis confirm the window. What the dates don't explain is the acoustics. He wrote that a word spoken in the oracle room is magnified 100-fold and is audible throughout the entire structure. Recent acoustical analysis by Dr. Paolo De Bertolis and researchers at the University of Trieste measured the resonance. The oracle room resonates at 70 and 114 hertz. A male voice tuned to these frequencies stimulates resonance throughout the entire hypogum. The sound doesn't just echo, it amplifies. It sustains. Dr. Robert John at Princeton University studied the phenomenon in 1995. He concluded the dimensions of the room or the quality of the limestone determines the exact pitch. But was it intentional? Research suggests this frequency affects the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain associated with mood and emotional processing. Volunteers exposed to 110 hertz sound in confined spaces report altered states of consciousness, visual hallucinations, deep meditative states, profound emotional responses. Dr. De Bertolis documented volunteers entering trance-like conditions when exposed to 114 hertz resonance inside the oracle room. Too much carbon dioxide from human breath, temperature fluctuations from body heat, humidity threatening the painted ceilings. A 9-year restoration project to stabilize the environment. Since reopening in 2000, Heritage Malta allows only 80 visitors per day. Groups of 10. Microclimate strictly regulated. The paint is too fragile. The structure too delicate. One of the world's oldest underground sanctuaries balanced on the edge of preservation. These skulls were displayed at the National Museum of Archaeology until 1985. Then they vanished. No official explanation, no record of transfer, no catalog entry explaining their removal. The mystery of the hypogum extends beyond its construction into what happened to the evidence. The sandstone should have collapsed. Soft stone. No internal reinforcement. Weight of 30 meters of rock above pressing down. Yet the ceilings hold. Modern engineers examine the column placement and spacing. They calculate load distribution. The columns are positioned exactly where modern stress analysis would place them. Bronze Age Chinese engineers carved stone based on principles we formalized in the 20th century. They did it without computers, without force diagrams, without material science. The caves prove they understood concepts we think we invented. But the salt springs weaken over time. Wells are dug deeper. Shafts follow. In the 13th century, they hit rock salt, solid deposits, gray rock that looks like unpolished granite. Mining begins. By the 1400s, it's one of Poland's most valuable assets. Salt equals wealth, preserves food, cures leather, trades for gold. 327 meters deep, 9 levels cut through solid salt. Miners don't just extract, they carve. Religious icons, saints, royal symbols, protection against cave-ins and accidents, protection against darkness and death. Shrines appear at work sites and accident locations. Chapels carved near major shafts. At least 40 documented Catholic chapels made entirely from salt. The largest is the Chapel of St. Kinga. The chapel sits 101 meters underground, 54 meters long, 12 meters high. Walls carved to resemble medieval wooden churches, bas-reliefs depicting the Nativity, the Last Supper, the Crucifixion. The floor is a single block of salt. Chandeliers hang from the ceiling made from salt crystals. Every surface is salt. Every statue is salt. Every decoration is salt. The work took over 30 years. Two brothers, Józef and Tomasz Markowski, carved it between 1722 and 1760. 20,000 tons of rock salt removed to create the space. She threw her engagement ring into a shaft. When she arrived in Krakow, she asked miners to dig. They found a lump of salt, split it open, found her ring inside. The mine at Wieliczka opened. Kinga became the patron saint of salt miners. Temperature stays at 17 degrees Celsius year-round. The mine operated continuously from the 13th century until 1996, when salt prices fell and flooding became unmanageable. 7 centuries of production. The mine became a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1978, one of the first 12 sites ever listed. Jewish prisoners from concentration camps were forced into labor here. A camp was established in St. Kinga Park with 1,700 prisoners. They worked between August and October 1944. After the war, the equipment was removed and the mine resumed operation. Hungarian horse treadmills hauled salt to the surface in the medieval period. Saxon treadmills replaced them. By the 1890s, machine drills and blasting took over. In 1915, mine workers earned 20 cents per day. The equivalent in 2015 would be about $5. Dangerous work, long hours, constant risk of collapse or flooding or gas pockets. Only 3.5 kilometers are open to tourists, less than 2% of the total passage length. The rest remains closed. Too dangerous, too unstable, too much water pressure threatening breakthrough. Engineers work continuously to prevent collapse. Fresh water breaks through salt layers, dissolves the rock, creates voids. Without constant monitoring and reinforcement, the chapels would flood and collapse within years. The mine is a living system requiring active maintenance. The city needs a solution. Someone suggests the old quarries, empty tunnels beneath the city, out of sight, temperature stable, dry enough for preservation. A city of the dead beneath a city of the living. The entrance is marked with an inscription, Arrête, c'est ici l'empire de la mort. Stop, this is the empire of death. The Paris police maintain a special unit to patrol the catacombs. They catch trespassers regularly, fine them, confiscate equipment, but the tunnels are too vast to fully control. Some passages flood during heavy rain, some collapse without warning. Some contain air pockets with low oxygen. Some have shafts that drop into darkness. The quarried stone built Notre Dame, built the Louvre, built the foundations of Paris itself. The voids left behind create structural problems. Buildings sink, streets crack, sinkholes open without warning. The Inspection Générale des Carrières monitors the quarries, reinforces weak sections, maps unstable areas. It's an endless task. The tunnels extend beyond city limits. Some run under the suburbs, some connect to metro lines. Some intersect with sewers and utility conduits. The full extent remains unknown. The region's soft stone makes carving easy. It also makes preservation difficult. Sections collapse regularly. Archaeological teams work to stabilize and document before structures are lost. Recent ground-penetrating radar surveys suggest more cities remain undiscovered beneath fields and towns. Cappadocia may hide dozens more waiting for a farmer with a sledgehammer to break through a basement wall. 1948 to 1968. Allow troop movement unseen by air reconnaissance. Provide shelter during bombing runs. Store weapons and supplies. House command centers and hospitals. Vietnamese fighters average 5 feet 5 inches tall and weigh 120 pounds. They fit. American soldiers average 5 feet 10 inches and weigh 180 pounds. They don't. Specialized tunnel rats volunteer. Small soldiers willing to crawl into darkness armed with pistols and flashlights. Most tunnels are 1 meter high and 80 centimeters wide. Crawling is the only option. The air is stale. The darkness is absolute. Booby traps are everywhere. Too deep to collapse from aerial bombardment. Chemical weapons are pumped into discovered entrances. The tunnel networks are too extensive. Gas dissipates before reaching far sections. Sleeping in darkness, listening for enemy soldiers overhead. The Ku Chai tunnels weren't ancient. They weren't built with primitive tools. They were dug by hand with shovels and picks over 2 decades. No machinery, no modern surveying equipment. Yet they created a network that frustrated the most technologically advanced military on Earth. 19 arches span the valley. The bridge is solid stone, but the arches beneath are hollow. Merchants rent the vault spaces for storage. Taverns open in the larger chambers. Workshops occupy medium spaces. The vaults stay dry for about 30 years. Then water seeps through the bridge joints above. The vaults flood periodically. Merchants abandon them. The poor move in. By 1820, the vaults are slums, families living in darkness. No ventilation, no sanitation. Crime thrives. Bodies are stored here for medical schools. Burke and Hare, the infamous grave robbers, operated in Edinburgh during this period. Some suspect they used the vaults. 18 chambers preserved beneath South Bridge, graffiti on walls, personal items left behind, shoes, bottles, children's toys, evidence of the people who lived here. Ghost tours now run through the vaults. Tourists pay to walk through dark stone chambers and hear about Edinburgh's dark past. The vaults weren't built to house people. They became housing because poverty left no choice. The underground reflects what the surface world refuses to see. The Nabateans created tombs here. Nomadic Arabs who settled in the 4th century before Common Era. Petra became their capital in the 2nd century before Common Era. They carved tombs into the cliffs for their elite. Most were looted centuries ago. This tomb was sealed, protected by the treasury structure above. The discovery provides insight into Nabatean burial practices, how they prepared bodies, what they included as grave goods. The skeletons await analysis. DNA testing may reveal family relationships. Isotope analysis will show where these people lived before death, what they ate, how far they traveled. Most remain unexcavated. The city covers over 260 square kilometers. Archaeologists estimate they've explored less than 15%. More tombs lie beneath the sand. More chambers wait beneath documented structures. The Nabateans didn't write extensively. Most knowledge comes from archaeology. Each discovery adds pieces to an incomplete picture. The treasury chamber proves major structures may hide undiscovered spaces. Ground-penetrating radar surveys of other monuments might reveal more. The largest statue, Vairocana Buddha, stands 17 meters tall. The smallest statues are 2 centimeters, rock-cut architecture on a scale that defies comprehension. Work began in 493 during the Northern Wei dynasty, continued through multiple dynasties, ended around 1100 during the Song dynasty. 600 years of continuous carving. Artists carved directly into the cliff face, created grottos with statues inside, relief carvings on walls, inscriptions documenting donors and builders. The statues show the evolution of Chinese Buddhist art across 6 centuries. Early Northern Wei statues have elongated bodies and simple robes. Tang Dynasty statues are more naturalistic with detailed facial expressions. Song Dynasty work shows refined technique and delicate features. The site was badly damaged during the Cultural Revolution. Red Guards destroyed faces, smashed statues, defaced inscriptions. International art thieves removed heads from statues and sold them to collectors. Many Longmen statue heads now sit in museums and private collections worldwide. Restoration efforts began in the 1980s. Some damaged statues have been repaired, others remain broken. The grottos are a UNESCO World Heritage Site since 2000. Over 4 million tourists visit annually. The sheer scale makes comprehensive preservation difficult. Some caves are too dangerous to enter. Unstable rock, flooding risk, inadequate support. For over 2,500 years, people have been digging beneath the city. Etruscans carved wells and cisterns. Romans expanded the network with additional chambers. Medieval residents dug cellars for storage and workshops. By the Renaissance, over 1,200 caves and tunnels honeycomb the rock beneath Orvieto streets. The underground city is as complex as the surface city. Wells drop 90 meters to the water table. Some passages connect wells. Some chambers served as quarries. Others were workshops. Some were dovecotes for raising pigeons. Medieval Orvieto needed pigeon meat for protein and pigeon guano for fertilizer. Large chambers carved from tuff could house thousands of birds. He wanted a secure water supply in case Orvieto came under siege. The well is 62 meters deep with a double helix staircase. 2 separate spirals so people descending don't interfere with people ascending. 248 steps down, 248 steps up. Donkeys carried water containers on both staircases simultaneously. The engineering is remarkable. The staircases never intersect. Natural light enters through windows cut into the shaft walls. Some have collapsed. Some are too unstable to enter safely. Medieval families dug private tunnels beneath their homes, connected to neighbors' tunnels, created a network known only to those who built it. When families died out or moved away, the knowledge of their tunnels died with them. A homeowner digs a basement and discovers a medieval workshop. Each discovery adds to the map, but the full extent of Orvieto Underground remains unknown. The soft tuff that made digging easy also makes preservation difficult. Water erodes carved surfaces, ceilings collapse without warning. Engineers work to stabilize accessible chambers, but the underground city extends beyond their reach. These 12 complexes span 3 continents and 5,000 years. They share common features, All were carved with hand tools. All show engineering knowledge that challenges conventional understanding of their builders' technological capabilities. All were either undocumented in historical records or discovered by accident long after their abandonment. And all remain incompletely understood. We can date them. We can measure them. We can admire their construction. What we can't explain is how ancient cultures with limited tools and no written technical manuals achieved precision that modern engineers struggle to replicate. How they calculated load distribution, airflow, water management, and defensive architecture without the mathematics we assume are necessary. How they organized labor forces large enough to move millions of tons of rock without leaving evidence of that organization. Each complex stands as evidence that human ingenuity existed long before our civilization's technical framework. We didn't invent engineering principles. We rediscovered them. The population exchange of 1923 forced Cappadocian Greeks to leave. They took their knowledge with them. The Turkish residents who replaced them knew about the ventilation shafts used as wells. They didn't know about the city beneath their feet. For 40 years, Derinkuyu lay forgotten under a village that used its water source daily. Local folklore preserved the mystery but lost the truth. For 2,000 years, farmers fished in flooded chambers without knowing engineered caverns lay beneath. The hippodrome's entrance was destroyed by urban expansion. Houses built over a Neolithic temple. Construction that damaged the upper level before anyone realized what lay beneath. The site survived by chance. Had the stonemason struck a different spot? Had he kept quiet longer? Had Father Magri not begun excavations before more damage occurred? The hippodrome might have been destroyed completely. They exist in contradiction to archaeology's expectation that important sites remain important, that major construction projects generate documentation, that civilizations preserve knowledge of their greatest achievements. Instead, we find the opposite. The greatest engineering feats were forgotten. The most sophisticated construction went unrecorded. The underground cities that housed thousands vanished from memory until accident revealed them again. Each could have been destroyed before documentation. How many similar sites have been lost? How many were destroyed by construction before recognition? How many remain hidden beneath cities, fields, forests, deserts? These tools are finding new sites regularly. Underground complexes in Turkey, temple cities in Central America, settlement networks in the Amazon, fortifications in the Sahara. Every year the list grows. Every discovery raises the same questions. Who built this? When? How? Why isn't it documented? Tax collectors documented every farm. Census takers counted every person. Military strategists mapped every road. Yet 1 million cubic meters of rock was removed from 24 massive caverns, and no one wrote about it. No imperial order authorized the project. No engineering manual described the technique. No history recorded the completion. The caves existed and were used and were forgotten and remained forgotten until 1992. 22 centuries of silence. Describe the tunnel. The connection exists. Ground-penetrating radar confirms it. But history is silent. No artifacts. The hippodrome survived because it was sealed underground. The entrance that gave access for 1,500 years vanished without trace. That sophisticated structures can be forgotten completely. That human civilization's continuity is an illusion. We forget more than we remember. We lose more than we preserve. The underground holds evidence of what the surface erased. Now climate change exposes it. Bones and artifacts frozen in time. Evidence of events described in stories but never confirmed by archaeology until now. A survival system refined over generations and forgotten within decades of abandonment. A warning and an invitation. Protection for those who knew how to access the hidden cities. A threat to those who didn't. More engineered spaces hold their silence in darkness. Ancient civilizations possessed technical knowledge we're only beginning to recognize. They solved problems we think require modern tools. They achieved precision we struggle to explain. Modern concert halls require careful acoustic engineering to achieve such precise frequency response. Long-used caves stand without collapse after 2,000 years. Modern tunnels require steel reinforcement and concrete lining. These structures weren't crude shelters dug by desperate populations. They were engineered solutions implemented by people who understood principles we later formalized into equations. They knew how air flows, how sound resonates, how weight distributes, how stone fractures. They knew without writing it down. They built without leaving blueprints. They succeeded without documentation. And we forgot they existed until chance revealed them again. The underground holds more secrets than we've uncovered, more complexes waiting for discovery, more evidence that our ancestors were capable engineers who built structures designed to last millennia. Structures that worked, structures that survive, structures that challenge everything we thought we knew about ancient technology and leave us asking one question: what else did we forget?